Hi folks, JP here from the podcast. Just to let you all know that the podcast is sponsored by AB Entertainment, and the AB stands for Mr. Alec Beveridge. It's a DJ and entertainment business. Alex is on Facebook and Instagram, and you can hit him up through the WhatsApp for any bookings on 07845 746 092. And also folks, the podcast has taken on a new partner, and we're partnered by MCM Framing Services and Hoops Memorabilia. If you want any jerseys, or if you've got any memorabilia sitting around you want framed or anything looked after that way, contact John Mullaney, and you can get him at johnmullaney0971@gmail.com, or contact him on his mobile 07835 072 582. And here at the Unrestricted View, we hope you're all enjoying the content, and if you are, please like and subscribe. It's free to do so, and also share amongst your Celtic family as well. Hail, hail from all of us. Good evening and welcome back along to the Celtic Unrestricted View. It's myself, JP, and as I said, it is just me, myself. Shows you how committed I am, and it's all about the committed to the cause, folks. You know, it's all about the commitment to continue on with the channel in the close season when things aren't going at all. Things aren't moving. So, or are they? That's the big question, isn't it? Or are they? Good evening to everybody that's joining us in the comments, that's decided to tune in and watch us. I'll try and make this as painless as possible for you. I hope everybody's well. Tonight, guys, I'm doing this for yous, right? So I want you to get involved as much as you can in the comments, right? I want you to give me your thoughts. So we've gave you our thoughts on numerous occasions regarding Celtic moving forward into the transfer market, what we're looking for, you know, what your aspirations for and thoughts are, you know, as a Celtic fan. And yeah, let us know what you think in the comments. Let's get to the comments, because I know some of you have already commented, which is great. And Jem, good evening, JP, and all the other viewers. Anton Rogan's left foot. Good evening, Troops. Hail, hail. Jerry Burns joining us also. Evening, JP. Flying solo tonight. Hello to everyone else. Hail, hail. Yep, flying solo, mate. Good evening, Keith from Rhodes. I hope it's very sunny where you are, mate. Sunny here too, so it's not too bad. But again, mate, cheers for tuning in. Good evening, Ryan. Nice to see you, pal. Don't give that nonsense. Sorry, I couldn't make it. Rubbish. Absolute rubbish. Some of these have, it's tough at the top, mate. Some of these have just got more dedication and more about us, pal, you know. But, aye, well, We'll let you be, mate. We'll let you be, mate. You're lucky Celtic aren't in mid-season. Otherwise, this wouldn't be happening, me, man. Good evening, Big Barry. How are we, pal? It's good to see you, mate. Cheers for tuning in. All alone? Yeah, I'm all alone, mate. But again, mate, am I really all alone? Am I? I never get lonely, mate. You, of all people, should know that. The amount of voices that happen in my head, mate. I never will be a lonely guy, so don't worry about that. Good evening, Plunge. I hope you're well, mate. It's good to see you. Thank you for joining us. Nick Conley, good evening. Nick, hope you're well, pal. Hope you had a nice day. Lindsay, how you doing, pal? Hope everything's okay. Yeah, we're sitting here in Glasgow on a nice sunny summer's evening. So happy days. Aye, happy days. Still daylight as well, so it's a bit bizarre up here, Lindsay. Still daylight to about 10 o'clock. Then it starts to get dark. Good evening, Norrie. Hope you're well, mate. Cheers for tuning in. Barry, still up by good watch all the same. Do you think Brendan Rodgers will have a final say on the signings? And here we are with yourself, big fella. Yes, I do. Something is telling me this window that Brendan will have more of a say. By the way, and I don't want to diminish previous seasons because I don't want to sound like, he's never had a say. But in terms of, the ruthlessness we're going to have to do in this transfer window in terms of getting more experience into the squad, I think the guys, Barry, that you're seeing as being linked to at the moment, mate, they're all kind of his type of profile of player. No many young guys are being linked to his now, under the age of 25. So it just goes to show you, mate, there must be something happening in the background there. But I do think he'll have a big say this summer. And Jem, do you think the new goalkeeper will be announced on Friday when the window opens? Who knows? Who knows? I don't personally know anything, but I wouldn't be surprised. Like I say, I've said it a couple of times now. We've known since February that Joe Hart was moving on. So they've had a significant time frame in order to put certain things in place. Hail, John. So yeah, as I said, I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. And to be fair, I'll not be disappointed either if it doesn't happen. I had a chat with Ryan today regarding, being comfortable with the scenario that we find ourselves in just now. And that's a bonus. Winning and being successful, you can relax and enjoy a long summer when you've not got qualifiers for Europe and your new recruitment team will be working away hard in the background. And yeah, I just think, who knows, maybe one or two signings that Brendan's looking at might be at the Euros. That might be another big surprise. So I would watch this space, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's an announcement on Friday either. I really wouldn't. Good evening, Hope you're well, pal. Ian McIntosh, good evening, mate. Cheers for joining us, mate. Thank you very much. And it's good to have you back on, mate. Nick Conley, seems the new keeper is going to be the Danish boy or the Bravka. Who are you thinking is the best option? Just for anybody at all that maybe doesn't know, that hasn't seen these goalkeepers. Here's the Danish lad. So this one here's Peter Vindal Jensen. He's an AZ Alkmaar player, but he was loaned out to Sparta Prague last season. I think Ryan told me today that he actually recently signed for Sparta Prague permanently. So that's quite bizarre in itself that already, Celtic have an invested interest in this lad. They're trying to get this lad to the club. But in all honesty, with you, Nick, to be fair, my money would be on this lad becoming the new Celtic goalkeeper. And this, folks, is Martin Dubravka. I spoke on the podcast months ago. Now, this was way before Joe Hart announced his retirement. And one of the commenters, he's not been on for a wee while. I don't know if he's been busy or the lad Corvo that normally tunes into the podcast and comments. A big Newcastle fan as well. And I've also got other friends who are Newcastle season ticket holders. And they're absolutely astounded. They are dumbfounded by Newcastle as to why Newcastle are moving this lad on. But if you're asking me who I'm choosing, Nick, it's Martin Dubravka all day long, mate. I said months ago that I would go and get him. He would be my top target. The guy's a top-end Premier League goalkeeper, without a shadow of a doubt. I don't know much about the Peter Vindal Jensen. The good thing is the Premiership is on TV. Don't really get to see Sparta Prague too much because there's just not a way we can do it. Whereas with Dubravka, I've seen plenty of them. And I know people, folk will probably say that he's 35 and everybody wants Joe Hart to stay. And he's younger than him. So everybody's wanting Joe to stay. But you need to replace Joe with somebody like Joe. You need to replace that with... And the guy's a top quality operator, Dubravka. Man United don't want to sign you if you've not got anything about you on loan. And I know he never really played a lot of games for Man U, but he played a lot of last season for Newcastle, especially when Nick Pope got injured, who's another very good top goalkeeper. But for me, Dubravka, he just ticks every single box that we need moving forward. I know people are going to say we're only maybe going to have him for a couple of years. That's probably a bit right, folks, as well. When you look at it as well, teams only have a cycle of 2 to 3 years, 4 years tops, and then you're changing your personnel. So Brendan's not had a chance to have his own cycle because he's had to come in and work with, other guys that weren't directly his signings. So for me, he just ticks every single box. Profile of player. And Joe Hart's only been here 3 years. Yep. Yeah, that's the thing. And that's what happens. You only keep guys. Celtic are one of those clubs you're only going to be able to keep, especially quality. You're only going to hang on to that for a couple of years tops, and then they're going to move on. Dubravka's at the other side of his career, so he's went to the Premier League and played in the riches of that. But Celtic's a massive pull for Dubravka. And I keep saying to Ryan, we keep having a laugh about this podcast being bugged, And I keep saying, well, everything we normally talk about, it tends to happen or nearly happen. And like I says, I mentioned about Martin Dubravka a while ago, and I was having a laugh with Corvo, and I says, I want Dubravka. We'll give you Scott Bain, and we'll give you Toby Oyewemi, and, things like that were being said. And, but he's only got a year left in his contract. Celtic will probably still have to pay a small fee for him. But like I says, folks, Dubravka's at the other side of that now. So again, Dubravka went to Newcastle, went out on loan to Manchester United, never really played much, but Celtic can guarantee him first team football, and he will be guaranteed 8 games in the Champions League if he stays fit. What I also think signing a guy like Dubravka will do, folks, is it would probably take away all of the anxiety from some of the Celtic fans. So I've seen fans are saying things like, "Oh, I'm worried about who the next number one's going to be," and things like that. It certainly would take away the anxiety from the Celtic fans to allow Celtic to then move on. Move on and start building in terms of the outfield players. And then obviously, if you're moving Scott Bain or Benji Siegrist on as well, if you're going to bring in another goalkeeper, signing somebody like Dubravka just now, it then gives you that leeway. So getting back to your initial point, I know there's been several comments come in since. Nick, to be fair, I think Dubravka will probably sign. I know Anthony Joseph, he put something out today in social media that Celtic are looking to get the two of them. Now, by all means, what a bit of genius that would be from the club if they managed to do something like that. Because like we've said before, we probably are going to need 2 goalkeepers. But the chances of us signing the big lad, as Ryan's just said there, he will cost a bit of money because he's just recently signed permanently for Sparta Prague. I know there's been a sum of 4 million being bandied about as well, so it'll remain to be seen. But I think Dubravka will be Celtic's next goalkeeper, barring a catastrophe in the negotiations. Scott, how you doing, mate? It's good to see you, mate. I'm glad you never took a huff because I says you look like one of the refs. I'm glad. I'm also glad you took it in good spirits as well. But no, it's good to see you, mate. Cheers for tuning in. Plunge, it's not really a cheaper option, mate. I don't think Dubravka is going to come cheaply either. He's in 44 grand a week just now at Newcastle, mate. So he's not going to take that much of a significant drop to come up here. And from what I've seen, I have to say that he's the better goalkeeper. See for me, folks, right? And you can give me your thoughts about this, right? I personally, this is just my opinion, I think that Dubravka, out of all the goalkeepers we could be linked with just now, for me, he's the best goalkeeper out of a lot of them. And I'm including Kelleher. I'm including the boy Kelleher at Liverpool. I think Dubravka's a top goalkeeper. And like I say, he's a top high-end Premier League goalkeeper. That's what we would be signing. So it's a 1-1 situation for us, and yeah, as I say, it would get a lot of the Celtic fans excited because he's a high profile in the game. He's played in British football a long time. He's well known down in England, and he's a Slovakian number 1 as well. So he's still playing. He's still playing international football at 35. So that says it's one of those ones. A game of opinions as well. But I feel out of all the goalkeepers we've been linked with, he's the best fit for Celtic. And not only that as well, he can save penalties. So see just for that alone, it's a 1-1 situation for me. And yeah, Scott, definitely. I mean, people are saying to me that now that, he's 35, as if that's something that we should be worried about. Joe Hart's older than him, and the Celtic fans want him to stay. So this guy is, it ticks a lot of boxes for us, mate. Like he says, I've already gave my opinion on him. I really do think he's a top of the range goalkeeper, and the experience he would be bringing would be imperative to come right into the squad. Because, like I've said before, that we've lost a guy in Joe Hart, who, in my opinion, is an absolute mountain. And what he brings, not just as a goalkeeper, but all the qualities he has as a person, the way he treats people, Scott, how he is about the place, the younger lads looking up to him. He's always got time for everybody. There's a lot more to it, mate, than just going out and playing football. Especially with a club like Celtic. And fairly recently, over the last couple of seasons, Celtic have visited the other side of the world. They've been to Australia with Big Ange. They were in Japan in the summer, and now we're going to America. So Celtic's networking, not just here, networking in countries that are far afield. And that's another reason why we are far and beyond away in front of everybody else in Scotland. P. McLaughlin, good evening, mate. Hope you're well. I feared the Bravka would cost $1 million. It's definitely our board over the back. No, see, to be fair with you, mate, that's just good business. That would be really good. But if you're getting a Martin Dubravka on £1 million, see if you sat 6 months ago in the Match of the Day studio and you sat with Mika Richards and Alan Shearer and a couple of other guys, and you turned around and says to them, by the way, I've got a wee globe here. I can predict the future. Martin Dubravka is going to move to Celtic in the summer for £1 million. What do you think they would have all done? What do you think they would have said, and what do you think they would all have done? They'd have probably laughed at you, especially Shearer, because he rates him so highly. So most people would laugh at you for that. That isn't being a penny pincher or, it's the total opposite. That's what you call good business. That's what you call recruitment and doing it properly. That's it in a nutshell, mate. No, the thing is, Monty, as well, like, good evening, mate, I hope you're well. Joe Hart was a great option. Again, a lot of these deals came down to timing. We got Scott Sinclair, surely because of timing. We got Colo Toure, surely because of timing. These deals happen only once every so often because of timing. And when you strike and do your recruitment properly, that's when you can do a bit of damage in the transfer market. And that's why Brendan spoke so highly about bringing quality to the club and, getting guys in that can better the first team and make the first team better. Because that's been the chat, hasn't it? That's been the overall chat with Brendan. So, yeah, like I say, it's just good business. That's all that is. The thing is, as well, folks, you've got to remember as well, our fans, a lot of our fans don't like the transfer model that we currently have. So see if Celtic went out and bought a guy at 22, the place would be gone bananas. Absolutely bananas. But you're going out and buying a Premier League quality goalkeeper. even if it was for £1 million. So Celtic will never win when it comes to signings. I've even said that on here. Celtic could go and sign Lionel Messi tomorrow, and people would turn around and say, "Do you know what? He's too old. Don't want him. He's too old." Then you get the flip side of that as well. Before he'd even kicked a ball, before he even stepped off his plane at Glasgow Airport, and the first photo get put up of him, Adam Ida was called a dud, a big diddy. No, words like that were getting bandied about. So, me personally, I don't think it matters who Celtic go and sign, because there will always be people out there that will find fault with it. But if you know football and you know and you watch the game consistently and you're at the games and you watch even English football, everybody knows who Martin Dubravka is. And nobody can convince me that he's not quality, because I've got proof that proves otherwise. You don't play with Newcastle in the Premier League if you're not quality. You don't play international football if you're not quality. Celtic, I don't think he was, mate, because if you remember at the time as well, we had a barrage of injuries in that position, and he came in, mate, and he helped us to qualify for the Champions League in Brendan's first season. Now, if you go back and cast your mind back to that, it didn't look that good when Lincoln Red Imps had beat us in the first leg of that tie. So to then come back for that and, you know, do what we done and play the way we played against Pep Guardiola's Man City side, like I says, mate, you need guys that can come in and help you straight away with their experiences, with their know-how in football. And Kolo Toure brought all that in abundance. You know, he played that day, we beat Rangers 5-1 at Celtic Park as well in the Glasgow Derby. Brendan's first Glasgow Derby. So again, it comes down to doing more than just being a Celtic player. You need to do more about the place. You know, guys like that are so important to the squad, which is why you see Celtic going and winning more trophies than they don't win, because they've got guys like that in abundance to lead the way and set that example. So I think sometimes Celtic fans look at players and just go, "Do you know what? He's mince, he's rubbish." But they take their eye off the ball there in terms of what else he brings to the party. You know, it's a real team game, and it's not about individuals. It's not about you being selfish and, you know, it's all about you. The cameras go to bone you all the time. No, you've got other guys there that, you know, are knocking their pan in every week with you as well. So, but these deals, when you're bringing these guys in for lower fees or even free transfers, it's just good business. But again, I'll go back to it. You're attracting these guys for another big reason. Not only are we a big club, but we're a big club in a very small pond. I keep saying that. But we've got Brendan Rodgers. Brendan Rodgers is a big attraction. And Celtic, because of Brendan Rodgers, have become a big attraction in the way that they do their transfer model. You know, their player trading model is why a lot of youngish players want to come here in the first place, because they've seen guys like Edward, they've seen guys like Wanyama, they've seen guys like Van Dijk. They've saw these guys come in here and be successful and do well and then move on and get themselves a good living from the game. So that's why recruitment is so important. It's got to be done right. Listen, you're never going to get every signing bang on either. There's going to be signings where you maybe pay that extra bit of money for, it maybe doesn't work out. Or there's going to be signings where you don't pay a lot for and you've not really got a high expectation of them, but they come in and absolutely light the place up. Look at Matt O'Reilly, 1.5 million for MK Dons, and he wasn't even going to be the signing that we went for. So he wasn't even thought of until a last minute thing, until Riley McGree decided he wasn't signing me and went to Middlesbrough. So sometimes in football as well, you need to be very, very careful what you wish for, because the grass isn't greener at the other side. Michael McDonald, regarding signings, recently I've come to the conclusion that we'd be better off signing some players at the end of their career on a free, pay the big wage and get the best out of them and find a balance. Yeah, Michael, I do think that's something that, you know, you could talk about the transfer model and how that kind of needs tweaked a bit. Like I've said as well, it doesn't need radicalised, but it kind of needs tweaked. But again, your recruitment is so important, mate. So important. You know, getting guys like Dubravka, even if he's only here a couple of seasons, in that couple of... Joe Hart was only here for 3 years, but in that 3 year, he brought us 7 trophies. Champions League nights. Albeit we never won in a lot of them, but we ended up winning to stop a drastic record that we've got in the Champions League, a not winning. We ended up getting that one. It kind of stopped that rot a wee bit. And at Celtic Park that night, you could see some of the players' faces. It was as if, right, we've been banging on the door here for a couple of times. You know, we were unlucky against Atletico at home in the season there. Lazio was probably had a bit more of a result for you. There's moments, you know, there's small margins, but there is no doubt in my mind, Michael, that if you bring these guys in, like Dubravka, like Kolo Toure, like, you know, Scott Sinclair, guys of that ilk to come in and help the team, yeah, mate, it can only set you up to do good things, and also help with in Europe, because these guys they've been around football long enough, mate. They've got the know-how to go in against big teams, go in against, you know, real hostile crowds, and be calm and kind of play the way the manager wants to play. Now, we're linked with obviously Daniel Amatri as well. There's, you know, that's another one that kind of has Scott Sinclair about that, because he's worked with Brendan, and again, the manager knows what he's getting with him. But I don't know about any of you guys, right? You can let me know what you are thinking in the chat. I am pretty much excited by what I've seen so far, because it would indicate that Brendan Rodgers has some sort of influence on this early... I know we've not signed any yet, but the early transfer links that we've had, the profile of player is different. You know, it's what we've been asking for in terms of age-wise, a wee bit more experience in age. I don't like using the term ready-made. I don't like using that term, because I find that disrespectful. Because you can have younger guys who are, you know, absolutely quality and come into your team and just light the place up as well. I don't like using that term. But with age comes great experience, and yeah, but I'm all for it. The other thing, Michael, in terms of recruitment, mate, what I would say is Celtic have been so good at it the last couple of years, is the try before you buy route, mate. That's another, you know, that's another thing I'm on board with. You know, you've done it with Edward, had him on loan, then we bought him. Done it with Jota, done it with Cameron Carter-Vickers. We possibly could be doing it with Bernardo. I know we done it with the Japanese lads, but they were like obligations to buy. But again, Ange knew what he was, what he was purchasing in terms of Maeda and Iwata. But I'm all for that kind of method as well. I'm on board with that if that's what we can do. Yeah. So as I said, it's a win-win situation. And I go back to it. That's what you call doing your recruitment properly. Take a guy. Let's see how good he is. Let's see if we want to sign this guy. Now, unfortunately for us, we never had a buyout clause in Adamida, or an obligation to purchase him. But again, you could probably go back and look at it as well when he's come in the January window and he's probably looked upon maybe they were surprised at how well he done. So who knows? But the recruitment's got to be spot on, and if it is, then you always stand in a good place, Michael, and you always give yourself an opportunity to do well and carry on being successful. George, good evening, mate. Hope you're well. JP Dubravka is a Joe Hart-like signing. Sign him now. Great solo show, big man. Thank you very much, mate. Yeah, mate, Dubravka, it's a no-brainer. It's an absolute no-brainer. It's great recruitment. Whoever spotted that early, if that's been done, and he's only got a year left, this would be a loophole here that we can get him, just say if it's £1 million or whatever. And whoever's done that and spotted that, frightening, absolutely frightening. But again, I'll go back to it, George. I think this podcast has bugged me because I've been talking about this for Christmas time or just before it. Before Joe Hart announced he was retiring, I think it was a question in here. It was Corvo, and he says, "Look, if Big Joe Hart was to leave, who would you want?" My top target would have been Martin Dubravka, and I said it then. I've seen a few comments in the section in the chat, regarding James McCarthy. James McCarthy was signed by Celtic for that, what I was speaking about there a moment ago, the experience side of it, to come in and help the team. The team after we had lost to 10 in a row was in disarray. It was gone. There was a few heads dropped, and mentally a few people were shot because of the way the season went for us. Probably as well as their own lifestyles, the players, the way they were having to live, and they all couldn't travel together, couldn't socialise together. They were having to get changed separately, changed at different times, going like 5 and 10 minute intervals to change, and they weren't all allowed in the changing room together. So a lot of the banter and stuff that was going on wasn't there. So after that season, obviously Big Ange came in, off the back of us trying to go for Eddie Howe, and Eddie obviously couldn't. We couldn't get the deal to happen because Eddie decided not to come. I think it was something to do with his coaches or something along those lines that weren't willing to make the travel with him. And Eddie just thought the job might have been too big for him at the time, to the pressure that would have been on him up here. And he's probably right, because he would have been under humongous pressure. It's different for Big Ange, because Big Ange he's had a career of doing things himself, going and taking different coaching staff and not having the same guys follow him around. So it's different for Big Ange. But that season, James McCarthy was brought in with Joe Hart as experience. And to be fair, Ange's first season, I mean, he did help us. I mean, he helped us out in some of the games. Wasn't a regular contributor, but anytime he came in, he certainly, there was certain games he didn't look out of place. There was other games he looked too slow. But again, he's had an injury-plagued career as well, and yeah, the deal he got for Celtic was a bit of a myth as to why he was given that kind of deal. But that is what it is. James will probably move on this summer. I would think he'd be probably one of the first ones out the door. If he doesn't, best of luck to him because he's got a contract. So again, if any of us were on thousands of pounds a week and they tried to just get rid of you and say no, and you weren't happy with that, you'd probably want to stay. So yeah, so it's 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 one of those ones. I do feel sorry for James McCarthy. I think he gets slagged off rotten where you know, it's a bit of a hard time. And it's a bit harsh to, you know, to do it, in my opinion, because he's not played a lot of football as well. Ryan, we should be looking for far better than Scott McKenna. Yeah, I've seen the Scott McKenna link, mate. I don't know what to think about it. I don't. To be fair, I've not really thought about it because there's been other guys linked with him as well in the similar position. So I'm very intrigued to see where, especially the Chris Mepham one, where that would go. But Scott McKenna, don't get me wrong. I mean, Scott McKenna would he's certainly he would bring a big level of physicality to the team. Right, that's for damn sure. In an area, where we've kind of had to rely on Stephen Welsh, Mike Naroski, Lager Bielka. And in my opinion, mate, those lads just, in terms of physicality, those lads just aren't up to it, Jerry, don't start him, man. Well, with us Liam Scales, man. Don't be doing that, mate. Don't be doing that. He's. What do you think? There's one, right? So I'll put one to you. What do you think? Is Scott McKenna better than Liam Scales? I'll put that to you. No, Ryan, I know he's not a marker, mate, but I'm merely having a wee laugh here because it's probably just about that time, mate, that you're hearing my noising you up. So, yeah, 100%, mate. Yeah, Scott, I'm the same. Don't get me wrong, I'm the same. But I wouldn't be against Scott McKenna. I really wouldn't. I think we've had worse players than Scott McKenna come to Celtic. You look at Nat Phillips, didn't go too well for Big Nat during the season there. A guy, again, down in England, played in Champions League games, played for Liverpool. Just goes to show you as well. Sometimes as well, it's not a guarantee when you go for the experience route as well. It doesn't guarantee you anything because sometimes these guys are, when they come up here, Scottish League's a hard league, folks. It's Joey Barton. Look at Joey Barton as well. Joey Barton thought he was going to coast it up here. He's played there in France, and he was this technical player, and this was all that was in his head, and he found it very tough. He found it very, very hard, and a lot of guys are right on your face before you've got a minute. You've not got time to turn with the ball, and a lot of these players think that they've got mega time on the ball, and that's not the case. It's definitely not the case. But yeah, listen, JJ, to be fair, there's quite a lot of people of the same opinion. But he does come and collect the ball. That's for sure. He's a very commanding goalkeeper, Dubravka. That's one thing he is. And he's quite assured and assertive when he does it. I can see the point in terms of his age, mate, and the worry there. But again, JJ, I would ask yourself, pal, are you one of the fans that would kind of like to keep Joe Hart on? If Joe Hart was, just say for talking straight, Joe Hart was to change his mind just now, is that something you would be all for, or would you be against that and just be happy that he moved on and then Celtic went on and just got a younger goalkeeper, as you said? Because I don't think there's any difference at all if you're happy for Joe Hart to stay on. Dubravka's younger than Joe Hart as it currently stands, so I just thought I would ask, mate. The Yeah, he is. Scott McKenna's good in there. Yep. No, listen, Scott McKenna, he certainly wouldn't be the worst signing for Celtic, that's for sure. Um, I wouldn't be, I wouldn't be against it. Put it that way. Uh, I wouldn't be against it. Well, for the future, I need a keeper for 4 years. That's the thing, JJ. Well, you bring in a quality goalkeeper, right? How long do you think you're going to keep him for in Scotland? If just say he's a younger guy, right? But he's at a good level, right? And we all know Brendan's obviously got a severe winning track record of developing players and making them better. So if you bring in a top goalkeeper who's younger than Martin Dubravka, do you think you're keeping him for 4 years in Scotland? Do you think he would stay here for 4 years in Scotland? That's what I'm saying about the cycle. When I go back to the cycle, yeah, but yeah, I get that. You're obviously selling it for profit, but you can't continue that going every couple of years because you're you're chopping and changing goalkeepers all the time. Then if you're doing that, it's a tough one, mate. It is a tough one. But for me, just now, personally, what we're getting into next season, Dubravka has got to tick every single box because we need experience to take us into the Champions League. We talk about wanting to develop in the Champions League and want to become better or get better results, should I say. There's a new format in the Champions League next season. Guys like Dubravka can help you with that. Guys like Joe Hart, with the experience they've got, can help you with that. And just like Anton Logan's left foot's just said, the spine of the team's got to be bang on. We tried the approach for a younger goalkeeper and we paid £5 million for him. And everybody was rubbing their hands together, including myself, because you think to yourself there, we're getting the Greece #1 goalkeeper here. And he came in and it was a big disappointment for us. Now, I know normally Ryan, if he's here chatting with me, normally comes back to me with, Barkas has been excellent for Utrecht. No, that's okay, but for what he done for us was a shambles. He's probably the worst goalkeeper I've seen live for Celtic. That's hard because I remember a lot of, I remember Ian Andrews. I remember Ian Andrews, and he was bad. That's what Michael Jackson's song was about. Him, bad. And I didn't think it would have been possible to get any worse than him. And then we signed Barkas, and it was just a nightmare. But it wasn't just his fault. It wasn't just him. But him as an individual, his performance levels were nowhere near it. And he was supposed to have this good profile, JJ, that younger goalkeeper, signed for a 3-4, was it a 5-year deal even he signed? I I really do think certain young goalkeepers come to clubs like Celtic. Yeah, there you go, Plunge. I actually forgot about him, mate. I've actually done my best to um, put him out my head as well. Carol Muggleton. Aye, there you go. But Barkas is a worst goalie I've saw for Celtic. And again, I'm not wanting to heavily criticise the guy. You know, we paid £5 million for him, and it was an absolute shambles. So think about that as well. Think about, you talk about recruitment. Think about that. Think about how you go near that. You know, sometimes it doesn't work out to just go and get a guy who's younger just because he can play that wee bit longer. Because mark my words here, getting into that cauldron of noise, you need to have a bit about you. You need to have a bit about you. You need to have big cojones to stand in that ground when the place is bouncing and concentrate on the game. And if you don't, and you're a young goalkeeper that's easily distracted and easily, drifting with your mind, you'll just get swallowed in there. Yeah, Scott Gordon Marshall wasn't the best of goalkeepers. However, he certainly wasn't. He wasn't the worst either. He certainly wasn't the worst. At least he could save the ball. Remember Barkas, he's positioning for the game at the West Ham game. Wow. The less says the better about that one, I think. Big Rab, but to be fair, Big Rab was another one that, flattered to deceive and came to us full of confidence and stuff, and I think when it was the first season Big Rab came, he was okay. Johnny Gould was the same. He was okay. Magnus Hedman, there's another man as well. You look over at remember the game at Bayern Munich? Roy Mackay's free kick. Jesus, Johnny, man. I know. We've ended up going this way and talking about nightmares that our goalies have had. Dimitri Karim is okay, Scott. I wouldn't say he was the worst goalkeeper. There's worse guys there, and yeah, that's it, JJ. And that's why I'm saying to you, mate, when you don't be too quick to write a guy like Dubravka off, because the jersey will not be too big for him, mate. And that's the type. That's why he's been that's probably why we're even hearing about this, because I would imagine transfers don't just happen overnight either. That this would have been something that maybe happened. I wouldn't even be surprised to think if it happened up just after the cup final, or even before the cup final, conversations took place. I wish Corvo would come back on. I wish, because I don't know what's happened, and I hope nothing bad's happened or whatever. And I just hope he's been a busy man, but I wish he would come back on, because I'd love to get his thoughts on what's going on. I've spoke to a couple of my Geordie mates today, and they've told me raving reports about him. Yeah, as I say, they've told me really good reports about him. Things that he does in a game that a lot of people don't notice and stuff. And like I'm saying, the goalkeeper that can save penalties, we've not had that for a while. Last one it really was consistent, mate, was Big Boric, who by far right now is still the best goalkeeper I've heard. I've seen at Celtic in my lifetime, and I'm 40 now. So, but Big Boric is definitely the best goalie. Yeah, I've seen Javier Sanchez Brotto's name being named in the comments here. He was a decent goalkeeper. He was absolutely unbelievable. Guy was like a cat. I'm sure he suffered mentally quite badly, actually, that Celtic never kept him on. I'm sure he went into a bout of depression, actually, which wasn't nice to read, because obviously Celtic let him slip through the net and he went elsewhere and we didn't sign him. But no, it wasn't nice. But Sanchez brought was a good goalkeeper, very good goalkeeper. Yeah, Boric, Celtic, he's best goalkeeper we've had, in my opinion. I thought Big Bona was good as well. I thought Big Packy Bona was good as well, but um, he's nowhere near a level of Boric. And again, Boric could save penalties on a regular basis because he saved millions. I, my dad said this as well with this one, Scott. And listen, we'll never know, mate, because we'll never miss what we never had. So you don't know how that would have turned out for Shea. Shea done very well at Newcastle, mate. But again, you just don't know how it would have turned out for him if he would have stayed here. Same with Brad Friedel. Brad Friedel was here as well and turned out to be a very good goalkeeper in England. But you just never you never know with these things, mate. Sliding doors moments in it in football. The thing is, JJ, the goalkeeping position is the biggest signing in the window. It's the most important signing in this transfer window. And it needs to be bang on. It needs to be bang on. We can't be taking gambles. And that's the only reason why I wouldn't be for or being all for a young goalie. It's got to be someone over the age of 25 for me to take us forward for the next year or two. Because I know we've been hearing this now for some time, but eventually, we are going to have a proper fight on our hands. Because that mob across the water on the as much as they're miles away from us in terms of a golf and stuff like that, but eventually there'll be some season. There'll be, Celtic aren't going to win the league now from now until eternity. There'll be a season where it just doesn't happen for us, like the 10 season came along. That'll happen again, and in my opinion, from what I saw this season with the Celtic fans, the Celtic fans need to prepare themselves for that because we beat Ross County 1-0 at Celtic Park. The team were booed off the pitch that day. I couldn't understand that. Okay, but, there was a lot of performances that we would say are under par. But you've got to remember also on the flip side of that and what these guys are capable of delivering. And they've went on and delivered another double winning season to make it 7 trophies in 3 years. Celtic lost 1 game in the last 25 games. And the chat all of last season was we were poor. We were this, we were rubbish, we were this, we were that. All the narratives that got spun through the media. The one with Jane McDonald, Brendan called her a good girl. She was wanting him to elaborate and poking the bear and all the things that happened during the season. That league winning there, the winning that title there, for me, folks, I don't know how you feel, was the most satisfying and probably the best memory you'll have for a long time because of the way we done it and because of the way things all happened in the season. The way Brendan Rodgers acted, people booing him, Celtic fans telling him to get out of the club, Celtic fans saying he should have been sacked, Celtic fans being very scathing towards him. And Brendan remained an iceberg throughout the season. He remained so cool. And see, when you've got that elite type manager that operates like that, the squad feed off that. And the mentality was a big one. Because, not so long ago, we were hearing shouts of them winning a treble and this was happening. I get texts for pals, guys I played football with years ago, and they beat Real Betis away from home and they thought they'd win something. And you look how the season unfolded from then. There's a pattern follows them, folks. And it's been following them now for years. The pattern is that they'll do so well in the season, but there will be a moment in that season that shatters them mentally. And the moment that shattered them mentally this season, whether folk think this or not, or whether they want to believe it or, admit to it or not, was the day we beat them at Celtic Park. And it was the one that Balogun gets sent off. The first Parkhead game this season. In my opinion, they were gone after that. Gone. Go back to before that game, and you'll hear all the chat leading up to it. They were coming to wipe the flare with us. They were the team that was in the run of form. They were going to do this. They were going to do that. They were going to do this. They did nothing. Absolutely nothing. I tell a lie, actually. They did. They continued with their pattern. They continued the way they act. They don't have humility. They lack the ability to be humble. And their managers, the guys that they bring to the club, all have this siege mentality. And I've seen comments, in social media and, Celtic need to spend loads of money and they need to do this to blow this mob away. They don't. Celtic don't need to spend loads and loads of money. But what they do need to do is they need to bring one or two guys in, like Martin Dubravka, names. And they'll be used as examples. They'll be used as guys to, right, they're signing him. They're signing him. And what will happen, folks, is once the season kicks back off and we get back into the swing of things, when Celtic have got guys like Martin Dubravka, just say for thought, I'm going to throw a couple of names in just as an example here, right? What if we sign Stuart Armstrong? What if we were to sign Kieran Tierney? And what if we were to sign, the big boy, Chris Mepham? You look throughout that squad, right? Brendan's looking for a bit of strength and depth there, so that the guys that he's bringing off the bench are just as good, if not better. Celtic will start to win games in the tunnel because the teams that you're going in against, some of these teams have got a lot of young lads in their team, and a lot of these clubs have got to, have young boys because they don't have that power to go and spend 4 or 5 or 6 million quid on a guy. So they've got to kind of promote youth. I'm not diminishing these boys. That should be these clubs have got to operate. So, but that's, these guys are going to be looking. And to young lads, like guys like Dubravka, who are all names, and, guys like Stuart Armstrong, Scotland internationalist, played for Celtic, had a lot of success. A lot of these younger guys will see these guys as heroes. And Celtic will start to win games in the tunnel because you'll look across and you'll say, just look at the line up today. And then you'll look and you'll go, oh, he's on the bench. So's he. Kyogo's not starting today. Oh man, they've signed Ida. He's starting today. I've got Kyogo to come off the bench. Maeda's not even starting today. They're playing Palma. They take Palma off. They bring Maeda on to annoy us now. And all that running ability he's got. That's the way that starts to happen, folks. That's the way the brain starts to tick. And that's what will happen. And I think that's what Brendan also wants. Seen a wee comment there in terms of you want to be better in Europe. I've seen mega comments regarding Europe as well. I'm going to ask the question here. Does anybody in here think what does anybody in here think Celtic could do in Europe with the resources that we have up against the resources that we would be up against teams like Manchester City, teams like Paris Saint-Germain, even Newcastle? Where do we think Celtic are in that aspect of things? Because there needs to be some sort of realisation as well, folks. I think I seen a comment, I can't remember who it was earlier on tonight, and someone says, I do apologise if I'm not able to remember your name. Somebody says, we're not a Champions League team. The circumstances that surround that aren't Celtic's fault, though. That's the bonus for winning the league, and you get that prize at the end of that. You go in and you go in and you've got to play in the Champions League because you win the league, you're going straight into the Champions League. Or up. That's what it's been the last couple of years. This will be our third. Getting into next season will be our third straight year going in there. But I'll ask anybody, what do you think Celtic can do in Europe, being up against the resources that the teams that you're going in against? I mean, Real Madrid, they're making substitutes from taking Luka Modric off and bringing guys like Toni Kroos on off their bench, or Casemiro when they had him, and take Vinny Jr. off, bringing on Rodri. Teams like, guys like that. That's the kind of quality that you're up against going in there. Stephen, need to spend in serious quality for a start. Right. What kind of quality are you meaning? What kind of quality are you meaning? Because they're Celtic. Right, I'll give you an example. Celtic are trying to sign Martin Dubravka, but because he's 35, Celtic fans don't want that. But if Celtic went and signed a guy at 21 or 22, Celtic fans don't want that. So what type of quality are you talking about? And how much quality are you going to attract to come and play at the Tony Macaroni Stadium, going up to Dingwall, going to the Rugby Park. What type of guys, you know, do you think could come in and be comfortable with doing that? Better quality than what we have now. JP left back, for example. There. How much money do you think it's going to cost Celtic to go and replace what Greg Taylor has done over the last few years? How much? How much do you think that costs? Bearing in mind the trophy overhaul that Greg Taylor has been part of, you're not getting Hickey, mate. You're not getting Hickey. You're talking upwards of 30 million, 25, 30 million quid for Aaron Hickey. No chance. You're just, this is what I'm saying. You know, teams like Brentford can go and pay that kind of money for these guys. That's not happening. But how much money do you think it's going to cost Celtic to replace a guy like Greg Taylor? Because if no, you're not even getting him on a loan deal, Stephen. It's not happening, mate. You're not getting that as a loan deal, mate. It's not happening. The only way Celtic are getting quality into the league is the way we're doing it, the way we're trying to do it just now. Again, mate, Monty, Josh Doig, he's another one. It's getting bandied for 6, 7, 8 million quid. Atalanta are looking at him as well. They've just won the Europa League, so again, you know, we've ruined that chance, I think, for a lad like Josh Doig. But is Josh Doig any better than Greg Taylor? I don't know. You know, I'm doubtful on that. Again, I've not seen Josh Doig since he left Scotland. Again, Paul, on Beck, you know, might be a decent player, mate. But again, playing with Dundee week in and week out, mate, to come and to come in to play with Celtic, mate. Again, he wasn't able to really cement that place in the Dundee team week in and week out, mate. And he was fit for the last couple of weeks of the season there as well. So I'm not so sure, mate. I'm not so sure about that. Yeah, Stephen. But again, mate, I'll go back to it, mate. There's an affiliation. That's the only reason why we have Brendan Rodgers, because he's a Celtic fan. Brendan Rodgers is a top end elite Premier League manager. And the only way we get Kieran Tierney back here is because he's a massive Celtic fan, and because he started off a massive Celtic fan and started off for the club. So that's how that works. But that's one out of, you know, Celtic can't go and, you know, bring in a young lad for the Bundesliga. And if they do, he's going to be a young project signing that maybe isn't the finished article. He's going to maybe have to develop over the next couple of years. The keeper's the biggest signing, Stephen. The goalkeeper is the biggest signing of this transfer window. There's no bigger signing of this transfer window than their goalkeeper. We have lost a man mountain in Joe Hart and everything the way he operated at the club. So there is no bigger signing right now. And for me, there's no more of a priority right now than our goalkeeper. Once we get the number one goalkeeper, or who we think it's going to be for next season, sorted, then, as I said, I've spoke to Ryan about this as well, we can then concentrate on going and getting some of the outfield players. And then again, mate, we're probably going to need 2 goalkeepers, Stephen. So you can then go and think about bringing in your second goalkeeper, but a wee bit more down the window because you've got that reliability just now, and the guy that you're bringing in is your number one. But to replace, you know, I get everybody wants the team to improve. There's nobody wants that more than me. But don't be too quick to overlook what guys have done in the team. Don't be too quick to overlook guys' service in the team. Because, Monty, you've mentioned them there. Greg Taylor's not good enough to start. Celtic JP, I like Greg, but he's not physically imposing enough. I'll tell you the now, mate, if we were to start playing again tomorrow and Greg Taylor was to get injured in the game, I bet you would be worried, mate. Because I certainly know I would be seriously concerned. Because we don't have anybody else. So there would be a massive worry. And again, it's like I've always said, you don't actually know what you've had until it's not there anymore. When Greg Taylor was out for a few weeks in the season there, and Bernabe had to come in, how many of you enjoyed that? How many of you liked that? So, don't be careful what you wish for. Don't be too quick to wish someone away in the team. Don't be too quick to wish someone out the team. Because it's not until you see them out the team, you realise their real worth. And again, you could, people saying Liam Scales isn't good enough. Okay, take Liam Scales out of the team. You're bringing in Stephen Welsh, you're bringing in Narotsky, you're bringing in Laga Bielka. None of them could light a candle to what I've saw of Liam Scales this season, folks. That season there. I'm sorry. But that's what I've got to be honest. And this is a guy who helped deliver the double. This is a guy who was a mainstay. By the way, he was also the mainstay when Cameron Carter-Vickers was injured. And it's also a guy who was undefeated in 5 derbies. 5 derbies. No, Monty, I'm definitely not saying that, that we should not upgrade. I think upgrade's maybe the wrong word I would use, mate. Certainly competition. Again, squad depth. Someone like Kieran Tierney would certainly help with that. Boosting that quality. Because as it stands just now, Greg Taylor's the best left back in the league. That's just my opinion. And I see the guy every week. It's probably a biased opinion as well. But upgrade, it's going to be very tough, mate, to come in. Again, you're talking about a guy who plays for Celtic week in and week out. And he's done it under a couple of different managers now. It was Neil Lennon that signed him. So, you talk about elite managers and top managers. There was other choices round about at the time as well, and the managers have chose Greg Taylor to play. If we had someone like Kieran Tierney, but again, Monty, I'll go back to it, mate. You're only getting somebody like Kieran Tierney because of his affiliation with the squad. Oh, Stephen was talking about bringing quality in, and I said how hard it would be because of the league we play in, because quality doesn't want to come and play here, and that's just the nature of it, folks. Which is it's a hard one. That's why Celtic's transfer model is where it sits, and that's why our player trading model is the way it is. It's impeccable, the amount of money that we've generated through the years on our player trading model. There's no other team in the league that gets that. Like I've said on here before, folks, we get 0 in terms of revenue winning the league. Winning the winning the cups is an added bonus for us, of course, but in terms of money wise, is you're not getting much. So the business side of Celtic, the way Celtic are run that way, is world class, because no other team in Scotland's got the amount of money that we've got in the bank. Because people have said before, it's dead easy. Well, if it's that easy, why is every other club in Scotland no operating the same way as we do? Um, yeah, mate, but you've mentioned a couple of players there that weren't the finished article, mate, when we got them. Edouard was a young lad who came in on loan. Dembele was a stroke of luck. Again, there was a loophole in his contract that he could come up here for a cross-border fee. Again, he was a young lad as well, Monty. You know, O'Reilly, again, has got better since he's been here. O'Reilly wasn't the player, he's not the player he was now when he came up. Yeah, they were still quality. But again, I'll go back to it, mate. You know, people are saying we need quality for Europe. Every one of those guys played in Europe, mate, and we still get lettered. So they're at a certain level of quality. You know, for Celtic to go in and make an impact in Europe, it's a different level you need entirely. Different level. And that's where we'll always, unfortunately, folks, that's where we'll always come unstuck. But you mentioned Joe Hart there. Joe Hart was at a different stage of his career. So Joe Hart wasn't really doing too much. And, you know, the circumstances, that's what I'm saying. I go back to the recruitment side of it. The timing, everything's got to be bang on. It's got to be bang on the way you do it. No, James, I'm backing the way the club operate, mate. I'm definitely backing that, mate, because I don't know anybody that wouldn't with the amount of finance that we've got currently sitting in my bank, and soon to have obviously added to that. I don't understand anybody that would be against our player trading model. I really find that bizarre, mate. If you were to be against the way that we operate as a club that way, because like I've said, there is no money generated in Scotland, so Celtic have had to be clever and do it in other ways. So I'm backing the way the way they run the club that way, because it's done at an elite level. And Celtic seem to do very well at striking when the iron's hot. When they do have like an asset in the team, they sell them for big money. And the money has, started off with, was it 10 million for McGeady back in the day? And then the money started to creep up. So I'm definitely backing the way they operate. I'm on board with that. And like I've said with the recruitment, go back to that when I'm having a chat here with Monty. The recruitment side of it, I'm on board with a try before you buy thing. Like Monty mentioned, Edward, you get guys like that in loan. You see what I've got, and then maybe in a year's time when the loan deal's out, you've got that option to buy them. And we've done that with quite a few of our players, through the years. So I'm backing I'm all for that. I'm backing that line of business. I really am, because that's what you call being clever. And that's what you call having to be assertive in the way you do it. And I'm on board with that. I'm also on board with the way the club generates money. Because, like I says, we play in a league that doesn't generate money and doesn't have the interest that the English Premier League does, the Bundesliga, even the French League, and the Spanish League. So to make the money that we've made, that's massively impressive, James. And I've never met a Celtic fan that's told me in that side of things that they're against the way we do it. I'm really not. Yep, good talent. Lennon Miller, very good talent. Great player. I wouldn't be against Celtic going for a lad, but I would also like Celtic to go for a lad and maybe loan him back out to Motherwell, keep him there just now. And currently, the way the team is, I don't see especially if we're trying to sign Paolo Bernardo. I don't see the team having a space for Lennon Miller in it right now in the immediate future. You've still got guys like Thiago Holm and that lingering about that play in the same position. Again, I'm not willing to write Thiago Holm off. I do know that he had a couple of bad injuries in the season that really kind of he dropped his head with it, you know, and that's it kind of got to him. And sometimes that can happen in football as well. It's a short career for lots of these guys, and you know the way they, you know, a lot of these boys want to play, but that boy's got something about him. Thiago Holm, he's definitely got something about him because he was a poster boy for the Golden Boy Award before we signed him. You don't even get added to that list if you're a novice or you've not got much about you. So I'm not willing to write Thiago Holm off just yet. I'm going to finish up soon, folks. I'll take in a couple of comments. James, I would rather hold on to money, buddy, than spend it on players that they know make us better. Aye, they make big selling off other players keen to spend. They do spend money, though, James. That's the thing. I think the last couple of times that they've done it, though, I think the gripe we maybe have is it's not been done properly and it's not been done accurately. I'll go back to it, mate. You're never going to get every signing bang on. It's just not going to happen. You just can't, first and foremost. But again, that comes down to recruitment. That comes down to how you profile your player, the due diligence you do on it. Is it lazy scouting? Is it not? Maybe that's why, you know, the guys have been moved on. In terms of spending money, mate, they've still spent money. You know, they shelled out £3.5 million for Palmer. Shelled out £4 million for Narotsky. There was like 3.5 for Lager Bielka. And that was just A guys. You know, sort of. Then they bought Kuhn in January for just under £4 million as well. So they have spent money. It's not that they don't spend money. It's the way that they, you know, the way they do it. But the league's a big factor in why we can't go and spend massively. Our fans want Celtic to go and spend 10, 11, 12 million quid on one guy. It just can't happen, folks. I'm sorry, it just cannot happen. It just can't. But the good thing as well is a lot of people seem to forget this as well. Celtic have altered the wage structure at the club as well. So they've kind of upped that as well. So it's not capped to where it was before. And that, in my opinion, has gave us room for change there because you can then look at a higher profile type of player that you'd want to bring in. And who knows, like I says, but Martin Dubravka's came along. So again, it down to timing, down to the way you do it, down to how you operate, but you need to act quickly when these moments arise, otherwise you lose out on these guys. That's why Saudi's there, that's why these guys end up going to these leagues just for more cash, because they're at a stage of their careers where they're probably not thinking about, you know, I'm going to win mega trophies and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. They need to feed their families. So but Dubravka, that's the timing here is spot on. And I really want that to be done in the next short period of time coming from now. Monty, question, JP, do you think the last few transfer windows have been good enough? Who's to blame for that, mate? In my opinion, the board have been incompetent. I get your point, Monty, in terms of, you know, the last couple of windows. But you've just got to look, I mean, again, this is each an individual. Everybody's their own individual in these circumstances. I don't know how people you know, how people take this. The way I look at it is when you bring in players, Monty, players that you think's going to come into the team. Now, the idea is obviously you want to bring guys in who are going to improve the team. You want to bring guys in who are going to make the team better. Me personally, I look for contribution. And it's not just about stealing the limelight here, right? It's about what you do. Are you a good teammate? Is it looking like you're getting the culture of the place when you come here? You know, are you on it most games? Are you looking to do well? Are you showing for the ball when you're supposed to? Are you interested in the games? Are you looking to you know, improve, develop? That's what I look for, Monty. Now, the guys I've saw that in this season have been guys like Liam Scales. Big improvement in him, massively. Ryan will even admit to that, by the way. I know we all have a laugh and I carry on, but Ryan will even, he'll probably second me on that one. Liam Scales. Palmer. He's been a big contributor. There's more about him than what we've seen as well. And he scored a lot of good goals for us as well and big moments. You know, I look for things like that, Monty. I look for moments where you change games. And can you handle the pressure in big fixtures? Palmer scored in the Champions League for us. Could have had more if the goal against Lazio would have stood. Probably a ball here off, not, you know, that was decided against. Not to give him it, but Parkhead went ballistic that night when he scored that. Great goal. But again, these are the type of things I look, you know, foreign players. Bernardo, you know, had a wee spell in the team before Christmas, was flying, showed a lot of his really good attributes. Fell out the team, Monty. But here's where I really watch my team, right, and watch my players. See when players fall out the team, I look for their attitudes. I look the way they operate. Bernardo, as soon as he gets a substitute appearance, boom, he's right into the game. Boom, he creates a goal at you know, here at Ibrox, a free each game. Comes on in the cup final and does that. I look for that, Monty. I look for contribution after the boys. So to be fair with you, the last couple of windows, the January window, I think, was the most underwhelming window we've saw for a while. But the Adamida signing, tremendous. Stroke of genius for the manager, by the way. Absolute stroke of genius. Kuhn came in, started way behind. Had an injury. A lot of his weren't privy to, you know. But worked hard, got himself fit, got himself in the team, and tried his best. But again, set up goals, assists, scored a couple of goals himself. Again, playing in big arenas, going to cauldrons and hostile places. Like, listen, these guys will never go to a bigger stadium and more hostile stadium than Ibrox. They really won't. They just won't. None of your fans are there. The house is full of their fans. And our team have showed a massive mentality to withstand all that and be undefeated in that fixture this season. So, Monty, the answer to your question is, I think there's been contributors to our success over the last few windows. But I also can understand why you've asked me that question and understand why, you know, what you're thinking is behind it. Because you're probably seeing it as the signings that we're making, they're not all coming into the team and they're not all making that instantaneous difference right away. And by the way, you're probably being seconded by Brendan Rodgers. And that's maybe why, Monty, you've seen the recruitment guys moving on. I put it down to them. I put it down to, especially last summer, I put it down to them because a couple of times Brendan had come out and he'd mentioned quality and stuff. But see, when you look back on it, Monty, you can see it now. Because obviously these guys were earmarked by Big Ange and the recruitment guys then. You know, that was all well underway. Because it's no Brendan's team as of yet. You know? And that's what I'm excited for, Monty. That's what I'm excited for. What's coming next? No. All I heard was Celtic were poor. Right? That's what I kept hearing all season. Celtic were poor. We only lost one game in the last 25 games. We won the double. We were undefeated in the Glasgow Derby all season. So you're not having a poor season, mate, when you're doing all that and you're firing all that into the mix as well. See, just by doing this, the podcast, and it's helped me think more when I'm watching football. It's helped me. My mantra is I don't get too carried away when Celtic do well, and it helps me not to be too disappointed when we drop points and when we go to that game. Hearts beat us 2-0 at Parkhead and everybody's booing Santa, and you know, I'm walking away and I'm no as disappointed as other guys, right? Because that's just the way I've operated. But again, maybe what I grew up in, Monty, watching the old Rangers, they 9 in a row, gone for 10 in a row. And watching Celtic teams that just weren't at that level. They weren't, you know. But here's one before I go, folks, and I'll leave you all with this thought, right? Think about this. Celtic went to Ibrox that season there, and they drew 3 each, right? And the only reason it was 3 each is because they needed a last-minute worldie, or next to a last-minute worldie, to get them that draw, right? They then celebrated it, and the narrative and the agenda was to try and celebrate that like a victory. It was a game that they had to win. Now they got a draw with us, and they putted like there was no tomorrow that day. Now here's where I'll leave you with the thoughts, folks. See, when we go into the Champions League and we get a result against Real Madrid or Barcelona or whatever, and we go mental and we party, I'm afraid, folks, that's what we've done to them. That's where we are. That's what we've done to them. They now see us there. And right for 2012 to now, they've had a siege mentality, and the thought process, guys and girls, has to be, we need to catch Celtic, we need to stop Celtic, we need to catch Celtic, and they forgot everything else that comes along with that. Scottish football. They forgot the rest of it. But that's where they are. That's what we've done to them. So see the next one of their fans that try and slag you off and whatnot, just bring that up. Just tell them that. Because that's where, that's where we've put them. They think a draw against us is a great result in a game, folks, that they had to win. But we had the last laugh, and we laughed the loudest as well. Ladies and gents, boys and girls, I'm afraid I'm all talked out now. And I saw somebody's comment there saying I'm going to be hoarse in the morning. Not quite. That's one of my things. I just love talking. You're welcome, Monty. I hope I did my best to answer your question, mate. But I look for contribution. I really, really do. Stephen, good man. Everybody that's joined me this evening, I want to thank you very, very much. There is over 125 people watching me just now across the platforms. I just want to say a massive thank you to every one of you that have took the time to join me. I'll be honest, I wasn't expecting too much when I came on. I was coming on myself. But yeah, it's been a laugh. It's been good for you guys. I know, getting some comments and getting a right good Celtic chat. And I hope you all have a lovely weekend when it comes. We won't be back on. We're back on tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. But I'll let you all know the new. It is a recording. So if you are commenting on it and myself or Ryan only putting your comments up, you know why. It is a recording. So, but myself and Ryan have got a wee bit of content coming your way at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. That's when it's going to premiere on the YouTube channel. So, and then we'll be back probably Monday. Monday night, we're going to actually do an end of season review. So we're probably going to begin back over last season, games that were important to us, games that we lost in, we dropped points in, and many points. But next week we'll probably be finishing up as well for a week's holiday. I know me personally, I'm out the country, so I'm away. I'm on holiday. But the boys have, it's a busy time for us all, so the boys have got some family stuff and things coming up as well. So they're obviously want to take the time off as well to do what they need to do as well. So hope everybody enjoys Scotland kicking off the Euros on Thursday night. And the Celtic boys that are in that squad, hope they all get a wee bit of game time as well. And I'll be back, Stephen. I'll be back next week, mate. I'll be back before I go away. I don't go away to the tail end of next week, so I'll be on Monday, and then probably Wednesday, and then that'll be me finishing up. But for the time now, and for the time being, everybody take care. And anybody that's been new to the channel tonight, that's joined in, and you've maybe not commented, please like, share, and subscribe. It's totally free to do so, everyone. Share it amongst all your friends, your family, because it helps the channel. It helps us as well, and it helps us bring content to you guys. And moving forward next season, there's going to be a lot of changes with the channel as well. Like I says, obviously there's a bit of content tomorrow for you, and that'll give you an indication as to what's coming next season and more of a regular basis as well. So, but there'll be more opportunities as well for you guys as the viewers to get involved with us as well. So stay tuned. There will be updates on that over the next coming weeks. We've got a wee surprise for the channel as well. I'm not announcing anything now until we get it on place. But no, it's going to be good. But for myself now, a massive hail. Take it easy. And enjoy the rest of your week, folks. Bye-bye.
shove the goalie in the box. Oh, you can't shove the goalie in the box. Oh, you can't shove the goalie, cause he's a holy goalie. Can't shove the goalie in the box.
The New Rangers were coming once again, they said. 3 in a row, 3 in a row. Sorry.
Well, alright lads, Guten Tag.